My aunt owns 3 houses, a 60-inch flat screen, a pension, rental income, Puerto Vallarta vacations twice a year. And 2 weeks after my father's funeral, she sat across from me in a black dress, tears streaming down her face, and told my entire family she had nothing. She almost got away with it. Here's how I caught her. Before I continue, you need to understand something. This story is not about money. It's about the moment you realize someone you love has been running a script on you your entire life. Black dress, trembling voice, deliberate tears. See, grief has a smell. It smells like old flowers and airport coffee. It does not smell like a number calculated to stay just under the threshold where people fight. Before I go further, I want you to know something. Stories like this one don't make it to the algorithm. They make it to the people who need them. If you've ever been made to feel guilty for protecting yourself, this channel is for you. Subscribe. There are many other great stories I want to share with you. $25,000. That's what my 70-year-old aunt demanded from me 2 weeks after my father's funeral. She sat across from me in a black dress, tears streaming down her face, voice trembling. She said, "You are young. You have your life. I am old and sick. You won't deny me this, will you?" And I almost gave it to her. Until I found the vacation photos, the 3 rental properties, the pension she lied about. This is the story of how my aunt tried to steal my inheritance and how catching her cost me my sister forever. Here's what you need to understand before I continue. This story is not about greed. It's about something worse. It's about the moment you realize someone you love, someone you've known your entire life, is looking you directly in the eyes and lying. And it's about the impossible choice that comes after. Protect yourself or protect the family. I learned the hard way. Sometimes you can't do both. In February 2025, my father died in Jalisco, Mexico. He was 82 years old. He had been sick for 2 years, diabetes, heart problems. His body just wore out. I flew to Mexico for the funeral. I stood next to his grave and I cried because even though my father and I had a complicated relationship, even though we fought, even though there were years we barely spoke, he was still my father, and now he was gone. After the funeral, my brother Roberto pulled me aside. He said, "Rosa, we need to talk about Papa's will." I said, "Now. We just buried him." Roberto said, "I know, but there are things we need to handle." We sat in a lawyer's office in Guadalajara, a small office that smelled like old paper and coffee. The lawyer's name was Licenciado Morales, maybe 60 years old, thin, glasses. He opened a folder and pulled out my father's will. He said, "Your father's estate consists of the following: his house in Jalisco, valued at $45,000, and a savings account with $8,000. Total estate value, $53,000. He looked at us. His will states that the estate should be divided equally among his 5 children. 5 children, all adults, all with jobs, all expecting their fair share. The math was simple. 53,000 divided by 5. Each of us would receive $10,600. Remember that number, because my aunt thought she deserved more than double what any of us would get. Licenciado Morales said, "The house will need to be sold. That will take time, but the savings account can be divided now. Each of you will receive $1,600 immediately. The rest will come when the house sells." I signed the papers. Roberto signed. Jorge signed. We would contact Ana and Gabriela later. Simple, clean, fair. I thought the hard part was over. I had no idea what was coming. As we left the office, Roberto grabbed my arm. His face was serious. He said, "Rosa, there is one more thing. Tia Elena wants to talk to all of us. She says it is important." My stomach dropped, because I already knew When Tia Elena wants to talk, she wants something. Tia Elena is my father's older sister. She is 70 years old. She has lived in Guadalajara her whole life. She never married. She raised one daughter alone, Daniela, who is now 45 and lives in Tijuana. When I was a child, Tia Elena was the aunt who brought candy, the aunt who told stories, the aunt who made us laugh at family gatherings. But as I got older, I started to see something else. I saw the way she asked my father for money, the way she always had an emergency, the way she made every conversation about what she needed. My father helped her, because that is what he did. He helped everyone, even when he did not have money to spare. 2 weeks after the funeral, Tia Elena called a family meeting. She rented a room at a community center. She invited all 5 of us, Roberto, me, Ana, Jorge, Gabriela, and about 10 other family members, cousins, uncles, aunts. I walked into the room, and Tia Elena was sitting at the head of a long table. She was wearing black. Her hair was pulled back. She looked thin, frail. The room went quiet. She said, "Thank you all for coming. I know this is a difficult time. We are all grieving. But I need to talk to you about something important." She paused, took a breath. "Your father took care of me when I was young. When our parents died, I was only 18, nowhere to go, no one to help me. Your father gave me everything." She wiped her eyes slowly, deliberately. "Now I am old, 70 years old. I am sick, diabetes, high blood pressure. My medications cost $300 every month." She looked around the room. "My pension, barely enough to eat." Then she said the number, $25,000. Half the room gasped. "That's all I'm asking, just $25,000, so I can pay my medical bills, so I can live the rest of my life with dignity." And then she looked directly at me. "You are young. You have your lives. You have your jobs." She let those words hang in the air. "I am old and sick. You won't deny me this, will you?" The room was silent. I looked around. Ana was crying. Jorge was staring at the table. Gabriela looked confused. Roberto, he said, "Tia, that is a lot of money. The total estate is only $53,000. You are asking for almost half." Tia Elena said, "I know, but you are young. You have time to make more money. I do not have time. I am 70 years old. How much longer do I have? 5 years? 10? Ana spoke first. She said, "We should help her. Papa would want us to take care of family." Jorge nodded. He said, "Maybe we can give her something. Not 25,000, but something." I said, "Tia, do you have any savings? Any other source of income?" Tia Elena looked at me. Her eyes went cold. She said, "Rosa, I have nothing. If I had money, would I be here asking for help?" I said, "But you have a house. You have a pension." She said, "My pension is $300 a month. My house is falling apart. I can barely afford to fix the roof." I wanted to say more, but the room was watching, and I felt like the villain, the cruel niece who wanted to deny an old woman her dignity. So I said nothing. I flew back to Houston the next day. I went back to work, made food trays in the hospital kitchen, measured portions, wrapped sandwiches, tried to forget. But I could not stop thinking about her. I kept asking myself, am I being selfish? Am I being cruel? My father always said, family takes care of family, and Tia Elena was family. She was his sister. She did help him when their parents died. But something felt wrong. Why 25,000? Not 20, not 30, exactly 25. Like she had calculated the maximum amount she could take without us fighting back. And the way she cried, her tears felt rehearsed. And the way she said, "I have nothing." But she owned a house. She had a pension. That's when I started to suspect. This wasn't grief. This was a plan. I called my comadre Lupita. I told her everything. She said, "Rosa, if something feels wrong, it probably is wrong. Trust your instincts." I said, but what if I am wrong? What if she really does need the money? Lupita said, then find out. Ask questions. Do not just believe her because she is family. 3 weeks passed. The family was negotiating. Ana and Jorge wanted to give Tia Elena $15,000. Roberto wanted to give her nothing. Gabriela was undecided. I was still thinking. Then one night, I was scrolling through Facebook, just looking at family photos, cousins, nieces, nothing important. And then I saw it, a post from Daniela, Tia Elena's daughter, and everything changed. Daniela had posted photos, beach photos, sunset photos, cocktail photos, and in one of the photos, there was Tia Elena, smiling, tan, healthy, sitting by a pool, wearing a bright yellow dress, holding a cocktail with a little umbrella in it. The caption said, "Best vacation with Mama. Puerto Vallarta is paradise." I looked at the date, March 3rd, 2025. 2 weeks after she told us she had nothing. 2 weeks after she cried about medication costs. 2 weeks after she made me feel like a monster. She was drinking cocktails by a pool. I called Daniela. It was 11 o'clock at night. I did not care. She answered, "Rosa, is everything okay?" I said, "Daniela, I saw your Facebook post, you and your mother in Puerto Vallarta." She said, "Oh, yes, it was so nice. We needed a break after everything with Tio." I said, "Daniela, your mother told us she is too sick to work, too poor to pay her bills. But 2 weeks after the funeral, she went on vacation?" Daniela was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Rosa, my mother goes on vacation twice a year. She has been doing that for 10 years. I said, "How?" She said her pension is only $300 a month. Daniela laughed. Not a mean laugh, just a confused laugh. She said, "Rosa, my mother's pension is $800 a month, and she has rental properties, 3 of them. She makes way more than $300 a month." I felt my stomach drop. "Rental properties?" Daniela said. "Yes, she bought them in the 1990s. Small houses. She rents them out. She makes about $1,400 a month from rent, plus her pension. She is fine, Rosa. She is not rich, but she is not poor either." I said, "She told us she has nothing." Daniela said, "Why would she say that?" I said, "Because she wants money from my father's inheritance." Daniela was quiet. Then she said, "Oh, Rosa, I am sorry. I did not know. My mother, she can be complicated." I said, "Complicated?" Daniela said, "She has always been like this. She wants more. She always wants." I hung up the phone, and I just sat there in the dark in my apartment in Houston because I realized something. My aunt didn't need money. She needed to win. I could not sleep that night. I kept thinking about the rental properties, about the vacation, about the lies. The next morning I called Roberto. I told him everything. He said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Daniela told me, her own daughter." Roberto said, "We need to verify this." I said, "How?" Roberto said, "Property records are public in Mexico. I can look them up." 2 days later, Roberto called me back. He said, "Rosa, you were right. Tia Elena owns 3 houses in Guadalajara. They are registered in her name. Public records show she has owned them since 1998. I said, "How much rent is she collecting?" Roberto said, "I talked to one of the tenants. He pays 8,000 pesos a month. That is about $450. If all 3 houses are rented, she is making $1,350 a month, plus her pension of $800. That is over $2,000 a month. $2,000 a month, $24,000 a year, more than I made working in a hospital kitchen in Houston." I said, "She lied to us." Roberto said, "Yes, she did." Here's what nobody tells you about catching a liar. It doesn't feel like victory. It feels like the ground opening up beneath you. Because once you have proof, once you know the truth, you have to decide what to do with it. And that decision, it destroys everything. I called Jorge first. I told him about the rental properties, about the pension, about the vacation. Jorge said, "Maybe she still needs the money. Maybe she has debts we do not know about." I said, "Or maybe she is just greedy." Jorge said, "Rosa, do not say that. She is our Tia." I said, "She is a liar." Jorge hung up on me. I called Ana next. I told her everything. She said, "I do not believe you. Daniela must be lying, or you are misunderstanding." I said, "Ana, I have proof. Roberto looked up the property records." Ana said, "You investigated our aunt? You went behind her back?" I said, "She lied to us." Ana said, "You are being cruel, Rosa. You have always been cruel. You live in the United States. You have opportunities we do not have, and you want to take money from an old woman who needs help?" I said, "She does not need help. She has more money than any of us." Ana said, "You know what, Rosa? I am tired of you. I am tired of the way you think you are better than everyone. I am tired of the way you judge people. Tia Elena is family, and I am going to help her, whether you like it or not." She hung up. I sat in my apartment in Houston, and I cried. Not because Ana was angry, because I realized the truth about family conflicts. There is no version of this where everyone wins. If I let Tia Elena take the money, I betray my father's will. I let myself be cheated. If I fight back, I destroy the family, and there is no third option. Have you ever been in that position where doing nothing is wrong and doing something is also wrong, where every choice costs you something you can never get back? That's where I was. I called Gabriela. She was the only one who had not taken a side yet. I told her everything. The rental properties, the vacation, the lies. Gabriela was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "Rosa, I believe you, but I do not know what to do. I do not want to fight with Ana. I do not want to fight with Tia Elena, but I also do not want to give away money that is not hers." I said, "So what do we do?" Gabriela said, "We need to confront her, all of us, together, with proof." I flew back to Mexico 2 weeks later. Roberto arranged a meeting. Just the 5 siblings. No Tia Elena, not yet. We met at a cafe in Guadalajara, a small place on a corner. It smelled like coffee and fresh bread. We sat at a table in the back. I brought printouts, photos from Facebook, property records, a handwritten note from Daniela confirming everything. Roberto said, "Here is what we know. Tia Elena owns 3 rental properties. She earns $1,350 a month in rent, plus $800 in pension. Total, $2,150 per month." Jorge said, "That is more than I make." Roberto said, "It is more than any of us make." Ana said, "But maybe she has expenses. Medical bills, debts." I said, "Then she should show us. She should be honest." Instead, she lied. She said she has nothing. That is not true. Gabriela said, "So what do we do?" Roberto said, "We confront her. We show her the evidence. We tell her we know she lied, and we tell her she is not getting $25,000. Ana said, "And what if she gets angry?" I said, "Then she gets angry." What I'm about to tell you is the moment that ended my relationship with half my family. Tia Elena called another meeting, at her house this time. She didn't know we had evidence. She didn't know her own daughter had told us everything. She thought we were coming to give her the money. She was wrong. I walked into her house, and the first thing I noticed, new furniture, leather couch, glass coffee table, flat screen TV, 60 inches at least, air conditioning, humming quietly in the corner. This was not the house of a woman who had nothing. This was the house of someone who thought we were too stupid to notice. She was sitting in the living room, surrounded by family. She smiled when she saw me. She said, "Rosa, I am so glad you came. I know you have been thinking about this, and I want you to know I do not blame you for being cautious. But I hope you understand, I really do need this money." I sat down. I pulled out the folder. I put it on the table. I said, "Tia, you told us you are too sick to work, that your pension is only $300 a month, that you have nothing." She nodded. "That is true." I opened the folder. I pulled out the Facebook photos. I put them on the table. "Then explain this. 2 weeks after my father's funeral, you were in Puerto Vallarta, drinking cocktails by the pool." Her face went red. She said, "That was a gift from a friend. I did not pay for that trip. I pulled out the property records. I put them on the table. And explain this. You own 3 rental properties in Guadalajara. You collect $1,350 a month in rent, plus your pension of $800. That is over $2,000 a month. She did not say anything. You told us you have nothing, but you have more than any of us. Tia Elena stood up. Her face was red. Her hands were shaking. She said, "How dare you?" Pause. "How dare you investigate me?" Pause. "How dare you disrespect me like this?" I stood up too. I said, "How dare you lie to us?" Pause. "How dare you use our grief to steal from us?" She pointed at me. "I am not stealing. I am asking for what I deserve. Your father owed me. He owed me for everything I did for him." I said, "He did not owe you $25,000. She said, "He owed me respect, and so do you." I looked at her, 70 years old, 3 houses, $2,100 a month, and she was talking about respect. I said, "Respect is earned, Tia, not demanded." But then something happened I did not expect. Anna stood up, my sister, the one who called me cruel, the one who hung up on me. She looked at Tia Elena, and she said something I never expected. "Tia, is this true?" 4 words, and I watched my aunt's face change. Tia Elena said, "That is none of your business." Anna said, "It is my business if you are lying to me. I defended you. I called Rosa cruel. I said she was heartless. But if you lied," Tia Elena said, "I did not lie. I just did not tell you everything." Anna said, "That is the same thing." Jorge said, "Tia, why did you say your pension was $300? Why did you say you have nothing?" Tia Elena sat down. She looked at the floor, and she said, "Because I knew if I told you the truth, you would not help me." Roberto said, "So you lied." She did not answer. We voted, right there, in Tia Elena's living room. Roberto voted first. He said, "No, Tia Elena gets nothing." I voted second. No. Gabriela voted third. No. Jorge voted fourth. No. Anna was the last one. The room was silent. She looked at Tia Elena, the woman she had defended for months. Then she looked at me, the sister she had called cruel. I held my breath. She said, "No, I vote no." And just like that, it was over. Tia Elena stood up. She said, "Get out. All of you. Get out of my house." We left. 3 months later, the house sold. I received my full share, $10,600. I paid off credit card debt, put the rest in savings. But here's what $10,600 cost me. My sister. Anna and I haven't spoken in over a year. She blames me for everything, says I destroyed the family. My aunt. At family gatherings, Tia Elena won't look at me. She tells people I'm a liar, a manipulator, that I turned everyone against her. Some people believe her. Some people believe me. And I carry guilt, even though I know I was right, because being right doesn't mean you win. Sometimes it just means you lose differently. My aunt looked me in the eye and said, "You are young. You have your life. I am old and sick. You won't deny me this, will you?" For 3 months, I thought I was the villain, but I wasn't the villain. I was the one who refused to be the victim, and that's a different thing entirely. Today, I still work in the hospital kitchen. I still make food trays, still measure portions, still wrap sandwiches. And sometimes, when I'm pouring juice or stacking plates, I think about my father. I wonder what he would say. Maybe, "Rosa, you did the right thing." Maybe, "Rosa, you destroyed the family." I don't know. What I do know is this. Sometimes doing the right thing costs you everything. And you have to decide, are you willing to pay? I was. I'm still paying, but I would do it again. If this story touched you, leave a comment. Tell me. Have you ever been made to feel like the villain for refusing to be cheated? Have you ever had to choose between family and fairness? I want to hear your story, because the loneliest part of doing the right thing, thinking you're the only one who's ever had to do it. You're not alone. I'm here, always.